This situation was, of course, brought about by the attacks on October the 7th. And
No, it was not, Adam.
Yes,
no,
yes, yes, it was.
I do not accept this statement whatsoever.
Why?
And please stop there, because nothing justifies the murder of more than 14,000 children. Nothing.
I'm not justifying it. I'm simply pointing out what was the trigger for this, and it was that Hamas attack, wasn't it?
Nothing triggers what happens after that. Nothing.
This week we saw a ceasefire agreement reached between Israel and Hezbollah, and thus far it seems to have held. Axios reports that Donald Trump hopes to see the end to the war before his inauguration. But what does it all mean for Gaza?
Joining us now is Husam Zomlot, who is the head of the Palestinian mission to the United Kingdom. Welcome to you.
Thank you, Adam.
What is your answer to that question? What do you think the election of Donald Trump means for what's going to happen in Gaza?
We hope it means what he has already promised and said during the election campaign, that he wants to see the killings stop, the war stopped, and he wants to bring peace to the Middle East. So we do take that to heart, and we want to see that happening. It's been senseless, it's been absolutely murderous, atrocious, and enough of 14 months of mass murder, mass destruction, primarily against innocent civilians, and you all know the numbers, tens of thousands, mostly women and children. The Gaza has become the graveyard, not only of children, but of international legality and legitimacy.
And what is the state of the conflict in Gaza right now?
Still, Netanyahu and the Israeli government, Israeli army is at it. They are racing against time. A very clear plan of ethnic cleansing and depopulation. They have done so completely in the north. The north is 1/3 of the Gaza size in terms of the territory, but it has 1/2 of the population, and that half of the 2.3 million population have completely been forced out of their homes and lives and livelihoods, squeezed in a very small area in the middle of Gaza, and still being bombarded. Israeli drones go home to home in the north, murdering the male population and leaving women and children on a death march, literally a death march towards the south. And the same is being emulated in the south, that is Rafah, going house after house, destroying these houses. This is a classic case of ethnic cleansing, again, of depopulation. And the plan is very clear. And from day one, we said, Adam, that Israel will pull out an old, new plan, which is a war against the Palestinian people, a war of extermination and erasure.
This situation was, of course, brought about by the attacks on October the 7th. And
no, it was not, Adam.
Yes,
no,
it was.
I do not accept this statement whatsoever.
Why?
And please stop there, because nothing justifies the murder of more than 14,000 children. Nothing.
I'm not justifying it. I'm simply pointing out what was the trigger for this, and it was that Hamas attack, wasn't it?
Nothing triggers what happens after that. Nothing. And we must stop dealing with Israel as if Israel has a different international standard than the rest of us. That the UN Charter, there is one for Israel and there is one for the rest of the world. Everybody had to perform, behave, act in accordance with our international rules and regulations.
Yeah, well, the attacks on October the 7th weren't in accordance with international rules, were they?
Yeah, but you know, the way you link it is to justify. Two wrongs do not make a right.
No, I'm not doing that. I'm simply saying that that took place. You are condemning what the Israelis have done. Do you condemn what happened on October the 7th?
You're bringing me back to the 7th of October and all that conversation we have gone through many times. Ask me if
all right, I'll ask you, do you defend the continued holding of Israeli hostages?
We have said from day one, Adam, and you make it sound like the Palestinian people are the ones who are on the aggression. You make it sound this way. The Palestinian people have been...
No, I'm saying that hostages are being held in Gaza by Hamas. I'm saying, do you defend that?
You make it sound, Adam, like history began on the 7th of October. Have a read, please. Read history and know know that the 6th of October, the UN has announced a report that was the deadliest year for children, Palestinian children, in the West Bank, not only in Gaza. So all what we were saying is, number one, we reject utterly.
No, I understand that. You are making your criticisms.
Let me finish my
Well, hang on. I'd like you to answer my questions. I'm saying, do you defend the continuing holding of Israeli hostages?
All hostages must be released immediately and must be protected. All hostages. Did you ask me about the thousands of Palestinian hostages? Did you ask me about how many Palestinian hostages, detainees, have been murdered by Israel, raped by Israeli soldiers, and that rape was discussed in the Knesset as a legitimate tool?
Right.
So
Okay.
come on, Adam. Come on. Stop this.
So do you see...
I'm having enough of this. We are all having enough of this.
Do you see
To
any...
focus on the root cause
No,
of all
I'm
this.
just asking you questions here. Do you see any prospect of a ceasefire in Gaza?
Yes, I do. If we have sufficient pressure on Netanyahu and the Israeli government, if we can enforce an already UN Security Council resolution back in March and in May, a US-sponsored initiative, but so far Netanyahu feels, has a free hand, unhinged, and therefore the only way we can achieve a real ceasefire is by creating leverage with this current Israeli government. And you know very well the making of that government, the likes of Smotrich and
Well,
Ben-Gvir.
hang on. What do you mean by creating leverage?
They are not listening. The world has been telling them to stop this madness, this carnage.
Yeah. So what is the leverage you want to? What is the leverage you want to see created?
Israel will not comply at the asking. Israel will only comply once it feels the pressure. The pressure is, number one, arms embargo, full comprehensive arms embargo, because the tools some countries are providing for Israel is what enables Israel to commit this genocide. What the International Court of Justice described as early as January this year, that it is a plausible genocide, and now Israel is officially on trial for genocide. So what we need to do is creating the leverage, the arms embargo, the sanctions,
Right. Okay.
and first and foremost the recognition of the state of Palestine, and we move
Would
political process.
would that include the recognition of the right of the state of Israel to exist and not be attacked?
What is this, Adam? What is this? Israel does exist, Adam, and we recognize Israel, and Israel has a full member status in the United Nations. Israel has been adamantly refusing our existence.
That's not the position. That's not the position. Where
are you going with this?
Well, because as you know, that is not the position of Hamas, which has been in control of Gaza.
This is the position of the Palestinian Liberation Organization, the PLO, the State of Palestine, for many, many years. And and the rest of the world knows that we have offered Israel, not only us, together with the rest of the Arab world and the Muslim world, a full normalization should Israel relinquish its occupation of Palestinian land, and should a Palestinian state emerge. We have been at it for many, many years. So we don't want to deviate here and there. And the rest of the world knows that Netanyahu has been at it for a quarter of a century, bragging publicly that his main aim is to block the emergence of a Palestinian state, is to continue his war of erasure against the Palestinians. And then I get asked by you, Adam, does Israel have the right to exist? Do we have the right to exist? That's the question. And who is preventing?
Well, I think they're both legitimate questions.
No. I have never heard you, Adam, saying, does Palestine have the right to exist? Ask me. Ask Israeli ambassadors.
Perhaps I've interviewed you and your predecessors many times, as I have interviewed Israelis, and I have asked that question on many occasions. Thank you very much, Husam Zomlot, head of the Palestinian mission to the United Kingdom there.